Take a look at this TOEFL reading question. How long do you think it will take you to answer it? Feel free to pause the video to study it carefully. Now, what if I told you that you could answer it in less than 5 seconds? You might think it's impossible, but it's not. The question asks me to identify the main idea of the highlighted sentence. 4 options are given, and I need to choose one. As I look at the sentence, I see that it begins with however. This means that option A is automatically incorrect. Why? The TOEFL creators aren't stupid. They wouldn't make the correct sentence begin exactly the same way as the original one. It's a trap for those who don't read the sentence and focus solely on keywords. They want you to choose this option and make a mistake. What is the correct answer then? It's B. The question asks me to find the main idea of the sentence. The main idea is usually shorter than the original sentence, and B is the shortest answer choice. As you can see, I can eliminate option A and select B as the correct answer without reading the given sentence. It will take me about 2 to 3 seconds to do that on test day. If you want to learn more strategies like this, keep watching this video. The reading section is one of the most challenging parts of the TOEFL exam. Although it may seem easy at first, especially for those who work in English daily, I've seen hundreds of students who couldn't achieve their target scores, particularly on this part of the test. Having helped students from all over the world pass the TOEFL for over 10 years, I can tell you with confidence that there are 2 main reasons students can't conquer this section. First, their academic vocabulary is weak. If you haven't read articles about pterosaur reconstructions, rattlesnake pit organs, or Sumerian regional interdependence, you may struggle with TOEFL reading questions simply because you won't understand the text. For this reason, I regularly post videos on this channel that cover the most common academic topics on the TOEFL, such as astronomy, biology, and zoology. If you haven't watched them yet, feel free to check them out. However, the second reason is that students either don't know the right strategies for each TOEFL reading question type, or they know them but can't apply them quickly enough during the test. In my one-on-one sessions, I spend about 70% of the time analyzing reading passages with my students and showing them how to save time and answer correctly. The question we just analyzed is one such example. Of course, there is more to it than I told you. For instance, if you look at option C, you'll see that it's very similar to the original sentence. It has the same structure, and the phrase regardless of is repeated. Such options are always incorrect. Again, it's too good to be true. There's always one little detail that makes this option wrong. The idea is that in order to take the TOEFL test, you need to know all of this. Otherwise, you'll continue to score low, even if you have a developed academic vocabulary. In today's video, I'll share some of what I cover in my one-on-one sessions to show that the TOEFL reading section isn't as scary as it may seem. My name is Anastasia, and let's begin. As you know, there are currently 8 reading question types on the TOEFL test. They are factual information questions, negative factual information questions, inference questions, sentence simplification questions, insert text questions, rhetorical purpose questions, vocabulary, and prose summary questions. Let's break them into 4 groups. The first group includes factual information questions and negative factual information questions. This group focuses on keywords. To answer these types of questions, you'll need to identify keywords to help you find the right part of the text to read. For factual information questions, the keywords are in the question itself. These questions usually begin with according to and are easy to spot. For example, take a look at this question. It asks, which of the following contributed to the decline of Venetian shipping? The keywords are decline and Venetian shipping. I see them immediately in the first 2 sentences of the text. I read, this decline can be clearly seen in the changes that affected Venetian shipping and trade. First, Venice's intermediary functions in the Adriatic Sea, where it had dominated the business of shipping for other parties, were lost to direct trading. The text says that Venice's intermediary functions in the Adriatic Sea were lost to direct trading. So A is the correct response. Now, in the negative factual information questions, the keywords will be in the answer options, not the question itself. Therefore, I'll need to read the answer options first. These questions will always have the words "not given" or "except," which will be capitalized so that you can recognize them without any problem. Now, let's look at a sample task. According to paragraphs 1 and 2, which of the following is not true of the shield volcanoes on the Tharsis Bulge? If I search for the phrase shield volcanoes in the text, I'll find many mentions of it and waste time. Instead, I go immediately to the answer options and look for keywords there. The keywords are the words that will most likely be mentioned in the text. They are broad, sloping sides, smaller, channels, resemble, lava channels, volcanoes, earth, over 25 kilometers. Now, as I start skimming the text, I will focus only on the parts that contain my keywords and ignore the rest. I see that Olympus Mons is the largest volcano of all, and that is 25 kilometers high, meaning other volcanoes must be smaller. This makes option D correct. Remember, we're looking for the answer that is false based on the text. As you can see, both factual information and negative factual information questions are about analyzing keywords and locating the correct part of the text. Great! One block of questions is covered. Again, as you can see, the reading section isn't as difficult as it seems at first. The important thing is knowing the right strategies and being able to adapt them to different contexts. For example, for some factual information questions, you need to read the answer options first, and you need to know when to do so. This is what we teach you in our TOEFL course. We'll discuss all the TOEFL reading strategies in detail and analyze complete reading sections together so you can learn to apply these strategies to the real TOEFL test. This will help you feel confident and ensure that you won't waste any time. You will also learn templates for high-scoring answers on the speaking and writing sections, important vocabulary for the listening section, and tips and tricks to improve your timing on the test. You'll also get 1 month of free access to our TOEFL practice app, where you can take real TOEFL tests and have your speaking and writing evaluated. And since we're official ETS partners, you'll receive a discount on the TOEFL exam. The link to the course is below. If you need help preparing for the test, click on it and join our TOEFL community. Now, the next set of questions will focus on your understanding of the text. It includes inference and sentence simplification questions. For inference questions, you need to read and understand the paragraph. For sentence simplification questions, you need to understand the sentence. What's important to remember? Focusing on keywords in these questions will definitely lead to mistakes. Your focus should be on understanding what's going on rather than looking at certain words. Usually, the correct response will differ from the original text. We analyzed the sentence simplification question at the beginning of this video. In this question, you'll have a sentence highlighted, and you need to identify its main idea. Let's look at another such example. I immediately see that option B, which begins the same way, is incorrect. Option A is too long, so I should choose between C and D. The sentence says, scientists have no direct evidence for recent or ongoing eruptions. But if these volcanoes were active as recently as 100 million years ago, an estimate of the time of the last eruption based on the extent of impact cratering on their slopes, some of them may still be at least intermittently active. There are 3 main ideas in this sentence. There is no direct evidence, If these volcanoes were active 100 million years ago, some of them may be active now. Intermittent means periodic, or from time to time. It describes something that starts, stops, and starts up again. So intermittently means from time to time. If you don't know this word, write it down because you'll see it often on the day of the test. I'll soon release a new video on the most common academic vocabulary for the TOEFL, so subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss it. After analyzing the main ideas in the text, I can conclude that option C is correct. Option D states that these volcanoes were active as a fact, but in the original sentence, it's just a possibility. Option C includes all three main ideas, but paraphrases them. There is no direct evidence, as some evidence suggests. If these volcanoes were active 100 million years ago, if these volcanoes erupted as recently as 100 million years ago, some of them may be active now. They may continue to be intermittently active. As you can see, it's more important to understand the text as a whole than to focus on individual keywords. Now, let's look at an example of an inference question. This type of question asks us to make an inference or conclusion based on what we've read. Again, since you need to draw a conclusion, the correct answer will not be explicitly stated in the text, so don't rely on keywords. The question asks, which of the following can be inferred from paragraph 6 about the Venetian Council's decision concerning the use of round ships? This is the only type of question where I need to read the entire paragraph. As I read, I don't focus on every detail. I try to understand the main idea and simplify what I read. The Venetian Council finally allowed round ships to enter the trade, which reduced transport costs. As a result, prices on spices came to equal those transported by Portuguese vessels, but the increase in quantity drove the price down. Gradually, Venice's role decayed and Venice lost its monopoly. The paragraph shows that the Venetians tried to improve the situation but failed. The paragraph has a more negative connotation than positive, so I can immediately eliminate options A and D, which focus on the positive aspects. Option C might be tempting because it contains many keywords from the text. However, while the quantity increased, the price of spices decreased. Therefore, B is the correct response. Ultimately, it did not restore the superiority in the spice trade that Venice had enjoyed earlier. If you were to focus on the keywords in the sentence, you would never choose this answer because it barely contains any words from the text. One more block is covered. The next set of questions is what I call the before and after set. For these two questions, read one sentence before and one sentence after the given part of the text. The question types that belong to it are insert text and rhetorical purpose. Rhetorical purpose questions always contain the word author. They usually ask, why does the author? For example, in paragraph 3, why does the author compare Maxwell Monts on Venus to the Hawaiian Shield volcanoes on Earth? I can quickly find the relevant sentence because this question contains many keywords. Most often, they'll give you the exact part of a sentence, word for word. The sentence that mentions this part of the text is, it's no accident that Maxwell Monts on Venus and the Hawaiian Shield volcanoes on Earth rise to about the same height, about 10 kilometers, above their respective bases. Earth and Venus have similar surface gravity. This sentence discusses the height of the volcanoes and the surface gravity on Earth and Venus. In about half of the cases, reading the sentence itself will suffice. In the other 50% of cases, you'll need to read one sentence before or after to get more context. You can read both sentences or check whether your sentence is general or detailed. If it's detailed, the answer will usually be found in the previous sentence. If it's general, read the sentence after it. My sentence is detailed, so I'll read the sentence before it. The lower the gravity, the lesser the weight, and the greater the height of the mountain. This shows the relationship between gravity, weight, and height. So the next sentence offers more details. This makes option A correct. The strategy for insert text questions will be very similar. In this type of question, you need to insert the sentence in the correct part of the paragraph. The first part of the given sentence always refers to the previous sentence, while the second part is connected to the following sentence. For example, look at this part of the text. Their prompt realization of this connection helped to strengthen their position as the new official ruling class. The first part of the text talks about their prompt realization of this connection. The second part discusses strengthening their position as the new official ruling class. This means that I need to find a sentence discussing the fast understanding of a connection, as well as a sentence discussing how they strengthened their position as the new ruling class. The correct answer is B. First, the text mentions that Chinese scholars quickly recognize the link. Then I insert my sentence, which mentions that this quick realization helps them strengthen their position. The following sentence provides details on how they strengthened this position and search for political legitimacy by collecting and studying ancient artifacts. Finally, the last two questions on our list are vocabulary and prose summary. The best way to prepare for the vocabulary questions is to study as many words as possible. I suggest studying advanced synonyms for simple words you already know. It really helps. Also, check the sentence in which the word in question appears and consider which word you would use instead. In my one-on-one sessions, I create a synonym exercise for my students where they match groups of words on the page. It's a great exercise that allows you to quickly learn and remember many words. For prose summary questions, the strategy is simple. The correct answers will be the main ideas of the paragraphs in the text while working on the other question types. Take a few seconds after each paragraph to write down its main idea. By the time you get to the prose summary question, you will have a list of the main ideas and you'll just need to match them to the answer options. For example, one of the texts we discussed today was about the decline of Venetian shipping. The main ideas of its paragraphs are ways of recruiting sailors to row the galleys, shortage of timber, the decline in the quality of work, the establishment of the Portuguese direct sea route, competition with Portuguese vessels, competition with the Dutch and British. With them in front of me, I read the answer options and see that C, D, and F are correct. If an option covers 2 paragraphs, it's definitely correct. Well, that concludes today's lesson. Now it's time to calculate your results. Write winner in the comments below if you answered all the questions correctly. If you made any mistakes, let me know which question types were the most difficult and how many questions you answered correctly. If you're preparing for the test and want to know how ready you are, schedule a one-on-one session with me. I'll tell you exactly what you are doing wrong and what you should do differently to get a better score. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more tips on how to ace the TOEFL. And remember, scoring 100 plus on the TOEFL isn't rocket science. It's the little things you do that make all the difference. As always, I wish you all a stellar TOEFL score. Until next time, bye.